What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I have some fun stuff planned on today's episode, and yes, I finally got my seats in from PRP for the buggy. Now, the one thing that I'm going to be working on with these seats is making them easy to remove. Here they are, guys. So first off, these are PRP Premier low back suspension style seats. They actually have a very similar feel to the kind of Comp Elite seats as far as the width and the huggability on like the side of your torso and the hips. And I would say it has that same kind of cushiony feel in the padding. So if you have been used to sitting in that style seat, sitting in this has a very similar feel. And I just feel that they hug your hips while giving you a nice amount of room. So obviously I opted to go with these. And then when I sat in them, I was like, oh man, it's just basically like a shorter version of a Comp Elite, basically. If you guys know, on the YJ Buggy, I have the Comp Elites in the black Alligator vinyl, and I decided to rock that as well because I love that vinyl option so much. This is a Rock Lizard chassis, black Alligator vinyl, kind of keeping the theme a little bit. I did decide to change it up a little bit, so I did some red piping. If you kind of look closely, I did some red stitching for the buggy without getting into too much detail down the line. On the panels and the hood and all that kind of fun stuff, I'm definitely going to do some kind of red. Haven't decided what that is going to look like yet, but anyway, that kind of is to go with the theme. Now, as I mentioned in the beginning, I want these things to come out easily. I don't want it to be a pain in the butt. There were a few guys who I kind of stole, I shouldn't say stole, I'm gonna borrow some ideas from and kind of mesh it into my own thing. But anyway, the guy who I got the original idea from was on Instagram. He goes by Obi1XL. Super cool guy. He's had a couple of builds. Most recently, he has a new buggy that he built, which is really dope. Check out his Instagram if you guys are curious. Anyway, he did a quick release sort of driver passenger seat as well as a rear bench, and that kind of sparked the idea. And then, of course, most recently, also on Instagram, Rubber Ducky TJ, he did the same thing for his driver passenger seat, and that is basically what I'm going to try to do today. Basically, I have a 7/16 stainless steel bar. What that will do is, instead of bolts, you know, I will be able to slide this bar across into, you know, pretty much the tabs and the, you know, the tabs that are on the chassis and the seats. Once again, the end of this bar will kind of have like a little handle on it, so it won't slide through, and it'll give me something to kind of grab and pull, and the other end will have a pin. And I'll do that for the front, and I will do that for the back. So once again, I would just have to pop off, you know, this little body panel here. I'd be able to pull this bar, you know, kind of out the back. I'd be able to pull it out the front, and then this seat would basically be able to lift out entirely. Now, first things first, because this is a long tab, obviously when I clamp this down just to kind of weld it out, what it does is it likes to spread these apart or kind of move it a little bit. So what I have here is I cut out a kind of inner template. It's 3/16 plate. That is basically going to go inside the tab, and what I'll do is I'll put it kind of a little bit more in the middle. I can get that where it is supposed to go. There we go. And what I will do is obviously clamp that down there. That will keep my 3/16 gap that I have in the center. That way I can tack it. It'll also help keep this longer tab from kind of spreading apart or kind of coming in on itself as I am welding. So basically I'll tack that in. Obviously I'll weld that in place, and it'll just give it a little bit more support as well in the center portion of that particular tab. All right, guys, just about to get rocking here. I'm actually pretty stoked. I just got a new CK torch for Christmas. One of the reasons I got it is, this one has the flex head, so I can kind of position that in kind of some funky angles, which I kind of got when I went to fully weld out the cage, because I'm going to TIG weld it, and some of the areas are pretty tight and kind of tricky, so this is definitely going to come in handy for that, as well as I upgraded and I got one that has a 25-foot cable. My other one was 12.5 feet, which was great, but you know, I was definitely limited. This is actually the first time I'm going to be using it, so let's fire up this unit. Let's get some tacks on these bad boys. Let's get these seats moving along.
I live inside my own world of make-believe.
Back at it another night. I got the tabs for the seats mostly welded in. I'm kind of just jumping around right now. Driver's side's all done. Passenger side is like 90% done. I'm going to let the passenger side cool a little bit just because small tabs and heat does really funky stuff to metal. And I am gonna focus on some rub rails this evening. So what I have here is I have 7/16 stainless bar, which I pretty much have running on the full length of the rocker. And basically the idea behind that is, you know, when I get into the rocks, it'll keep sort of the rocks away from the body panels a little bit, just kind of give it something to rub against, hence the term rub rail. And yeah, and then if they ever get kind of like trashed out, then I can just kind of cut them off and put new ones back on. I am going to be running UHMW on my boat sides here as well, which should come right up to kind of the rub rail. So I think between the UHMW on the side and the rub rail here, it should give me a nice kind of buffer. I'm even actually thinking of doing maybe like a rub rail kind of on the top part of the tubing here. Just because I know obviously if you're a little sideways, this kind of gets into it a little bit. But anyway, I'm not sure about that. I'm going to hold off on that for now. If you have an opinion on the top part, drop it in the comments now. Definitely curious to hear y'all thoughts on that. But anyway, let's get this guy tacked up, and then we'll get some welds going on that guy while those cool. And then I'll finish welding out the tabs. We'll get the seats back in, and I will show you the quick disconnects that I have going on for these bad boys. I got the driver's side rub rail welded on. I only welded the top. The bottom is all tacked out, so I have tacks underneath. When I rotate the chassis, I'll weld out the bottom part. But, you know, just kind of welded it in a couple of spots just to kind of hold it on there. You know, kind of went around on the front and the back on the corners just to kind of make it solid in one piece. And that way when I hit stuff, it'll, you know, hopefully keep it out of my body panels a little bit. And then, you know, like I was mentioning earlier, you know, once this gets chewed up or whatever, you know, I could always just cut out these welds, grind and smooth it all down, and throw on another one. So, you know, no big deal. These are pretty inexpensive. Loving these seats. Big fan of black Alligator vinyl. The PRP low backs are hard mounted in officially. And I'm going to show you the quick release bars that I have put in. I have these 7/16 stainless steel bars, and I can run them straight through. I have them on the front and the back. Basically, I would, you know, take a body panel off, slide, and then boop, out would come the seats. Double shear in the rear. I ended up doing single tabs in the front, so single tabs. And anyway, these seats are not going anywhere. There is no side play. There's no up and down wiggle.
you know, so as long as you set these right, you know, they're pretty much good to go. But basically what I'll end up doing is I'll weld like a little L handle on here so I could reach in and have something to kind of grab onto. Otherwise, you know, basically I might be able to muscle it, but you know, this bar here will, as you can kind of see, slide in and out. Boop. Much easier when I'm doing this without the camera. And then, you know, I could basically slide this out, slide the other one out, pop the seat out, get to anything I need to underneath if ever needed. So anyway, quick serviceability of the seats, which I think is pretty cool. Don't know if you guys can kind of see it, or, you know, I don't even know if this gives, you know, that much of justice here, but you know, like this bar is like way behind me, and obviously I have a ton of room over here. I'm 5'10", you know, I would say you could easily get a 6-foot person in this thing comfortably. I got a buddy who's 6'1", 6'2". He'll be over here in a couple weeks. I'm actually excited to have him sit in this thing because I'm just curious to see, you know, from a driver passenger perspective, you know, what the clearance looks like in here. Obviously building this for me, it's my buggy, but you know, I got bigger, taller friends and people like that, and so obviously it would be really nice to be able to get somebody bigger in here comfortably, and I think that definitely has been achieved. So anyway, guys, as I'm goofing around in this thing and actually just soaking up what it feels like to sit in here, that is pretty much a wrap for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Definitely be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you liked what you saw. Drop a comment below, and of course, be sure to subscribe if you guys want to stay in tune with this build that I am throwing down. And as always, guys, thanks for stopping by. God bless, and I'll catch you all in the next one.